Greetings, my dear viewer. You're on the channel The Price of Cheating. The channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. A second bright ball rolled out of the large container, quickly descending down the metal chute and joining the first one. Isla rushed out of the kitchen, tearing apart a pink slip with manic energy. "Why didn't you tell me it had started?" she asked sharply, collapsing onto the couch in front of the TV, feverishly putting on her reading glasses. Like clockwork, I had to buy Isla a lottery ticket every week, and every Saturday night she insisted on watching the live draw. It had become a ritual, and the idea of missing the event was unacceptable. If we couldn't watch it live, we recorded the draw. Personally, I wasn't very interested in the lottery, but I had always been passionate about horse racing. I didn't mind her weekly request. I like to think I was pretty knowledgeable about horses, although that might have been more wishful thinking than reality. Sometimes, I took a risk, betting on long odds, chasing the dream of a big win. With odds of 99 to 1, luck never came my way, and those poor horses likely ended their journey at the glue factory. Deep down, I knew the chances of winning were slim, but Isla, on the other hand, was convinced it was only a matter of time before her random lottery numbers made her a millionaire. Though my horse racing bets were improbable, Isla's chances of hitting the jackpot were even worse, 30 million to 1. When we first met, I thought she was the perfect match for me. Playful, witty, and always ready for a fight, she never backed down, whether it was with family, friends, or even strangers. But after 5 years of marriage, I realized her major flaw, an obsession with wealth and material possessions. Meanwhile, I was content with the simple joys of life, a good conversation, a few pints at the pub, or a day at the races. As my father used to say, prosperity is just another form of feast. And here we were, 32 years into marriage, with Isla perched on the edge of the couch, her eyes darting between the crumpled ticket in her hands and the television screen, where the numbers were being drawn. Suddenly, her eyes widened in surprise. "Jake!" she shrieked, overwhelmed with excitement. "I've won! I really won!" "Hold on a second, Isla," I interrupted her, sensing there was more to this. "No!" she snapped, jumping to her feet. "I have something to tell you. This ticket is mine, and so is the money. I'm leaving you right now. I'm going to France to live in a villa with David Miller. Don't even think about stopping me." Her words hit me like a ton of bricks. I sat there stunned. Isla had been seeing her colleague behind my back, and I was only finding out now. While she rushed around the house, likely packing her things, I wondered if it was worth trying to save the situation. But I knew it was probably pointless. Soon, she returned with a suitcase in hand, already dressed in her favorite dress. I stood to meet her. "Are you sure this is what you want?" I asked one last time. "Without a doubt," she said, dashing out the door without looking back. What she didn't know was that the lottery she had just watched wasn't live. It was a recording of a draw that took place months ago. Her ticket was completely useless. I had chosen the winning numbers from an old draw as part of an elaborate April Fool's prank, just to see how she would react to a false win. I hadn't even gotten the chance to explain to her that it was all a joke. She'd figure it out soon enough. In the end, I was the one who truly won. I got rid of a cheating wife, and all it cost me was a lottery ticket. That's what I call good fortune. The unfaithful woman tried to come back the next day when she fully realized she had won nothing. Naturally, her married colleague distanced himself from her once she started pressuring him for money. That's the kind of mercenary woman my wife turned out to be after 32 years of marriage. This concludes the story. If you like it, then put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel. Greetings, my dear viewer. You're on the channel The Price of Cheating. The channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. "All right," I said, trying to keep calm and control my voice. Sophie, however, didn't hide the growing irritation in her tone. "All right? Did you even hear what I just said?" "Yes, dear. You're meeting another man on Friday and you think that's normal?" Her surprise was obvious. "Not exactly. But what can I do? As you yourself said, I don't make decisions for you. You're free to choose what you want. Everything in your behavior and words shows that you've already made up your mind. What choice do I have?" I sighed. resigning myself. I'll still be here. Don't let your fragile male ego ruin everything. I love you and I'll fix it. You'll see. So you do understand that this is wrong. My voice remained even, though I was far from calm inside. What are you talking about? I didn't say that. Really? Do you think your parents or mine would approve of this? Sophie lowered her eyes, avoiding my gaze, but said nothing. That was all I needed to hear. I allowed the silence to stretch between us, giving her time to think. She didn't show it, but I knew the weight of the situation was gradually sinking in. You know they wouldn't approve. You know what you're doing is wrong. You've practically admitted it. When? How? Then why do you feel the need to make it up to me? If it were just dinner with friends, there would be no need to apologize. Or if it were something harmless like going to the hairdresser, the only reason you want to make it up is because deep down, you know you're doing something wrong and it's eating at you. Her voice trembled, doubt beginning to creep in. But you said it was fine. No, I didn't. I said I couldn't stop you, but that's not the same as agreeing to it. I'd rather you stayed with me, or better yet, we could go together. Same restaurant, same club afterward. But it's not about dinner or dancing, is it? You want to spend time with someone else, and that someone isn't me. You want him? What's his name again? Am I right? She glanced at me quickly, but said nothing. What's his name? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I'm not trying to argue, but let me be clear. I don't want you spending time with this guy, Wilson, or whatever his name is, and meeting him on Friday. That'll have consequences. What consequences? Just like you keep Mr. Wilson a secret, I'm keeping this to myself. You're not just beautiful, you're smart too. I always tell you that. Maybe you think I'm saying it because I have to. I don't just say things. Every word I speak has weight. Now it's up to you, smart woman, to figure out what might happen if you decide to spend Friday evening with Mr. Wilson and not with me. You think I'm bluffing, don't you? You think I'll cave because you know I love you. You always manage to twist things to your advantage, but right now, I want us to be one again, to love each other and grow old together. I can't control your bad decisions, but consider yourself warned. From this moment, you're on your own. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and left before she could say anything else. The apartment had been tense all week, so cold that you could practically see your breath. By Thursday evening, I'd reached my limit. I packed my things and moved into the guest room. "What are you doing, Liam?" she asked, crossing her arms, watching as I carried a stack of clothes. I looked at her with genuine confusion, like a child trying to solve a puzzle. "Are you serious? I clearly overestimated you," I replied. "What do you think I'm doing? I'm moving out." "You're just going to leave? Just like that?" she asked, disbelief in her voice. "Yes," I said flatly. "My wife wants to date other men. Did you think I'd stay and keep sharing the same bed with you? Don't even hope for that." Her voice turned mocking, almost childish, like we were on a playground. "Oh, what a baby you are." I didn't even respond. I moved my things into the guest room and started hanging clothes in the empty closet. When I went back for the rest of my stuff, she spoke again. "So what now? Are you going to ignore me? Is this your way of punishing me?" I simply said, "These are the consequences." She couldn't say she hadn't been warned. Friday came, and I made a decision. I left work early and decided to treat myself. First, I went to an upscale salon for a stylish haircut, a clean shave, and a neat manicure. Nothing excessive, just clean and sharp. Then, I popped into the nearby men's store and picked out a fresh shirt, tailored pants, and a sleek jacket. I considered buying new shoes but thought better of it. New shoes for the evening could only spell trouble. Instead, I stopped by the car wash and had my truck cleaned inside and out. Even the truck didn't recognize itself afterward. When I got home, I took a long, hot shower. Sophie came back shortly after and jumped into the shower too. I went downstairs and waited. Half an hour later, she came down the stairs in a dress I'd never seen before. Short, barely reaching her knees, with a neckline that left almost nothing to the imagination. She stopped at the bottom step, clearly expecting a compliment. I said nothing. Her eyes widened in confusion as she looked at me again. "Oh my God!" she gasped. "You look incredible. Where are you going?" I kept my voice calm. Out. Where else? Mimicking her former haughty tone, I added, What did you think? Did you honestly think your pathetic husband would just sit idly by, doing nothing, while you, the self-proclaimed queen, finally decide to show up after your nights out? I slowly shook my head in disbelief, throwing open the garage door. The disappointment in my voice was undeniable as I spoke. I really thought you were smart. Turns out I was wrong. How could I be so mistaken, right? Well, I've got more important things to do. Amelia doesn't put up with this kind of nonsense. I jumped into my pristine truck, and just as I started the engine, I heard a distant shout. I couldn't help but smirk. An evening with Amelia? Magnificent. We met at a small, cozy wine bar that served light dinners, with a pianist filling the space with soothing music on the weekends, making couples sway gently on the tiny dance floor. Our conversations at work already showed how naturally we connected. And the best part? She got my humor. I know it sounds cliché, but it's true. Nothing wins over a man faster than a woman who genuinely laughs at his jokes. Dancing with her felt like floating to a sensual melody, all wrapped up in her elegant heels. We were in perfect sync, our lips brushing each other's cheeks, ears, and eventually meeting in a kiss. There was this magnetic pull between us, our bodies moving as if they were meant for this. But we both knew the reality. I was still married, and we accepted the boundaries that came with that. So we let the evening stretch on, sipping wine, exchanging playful glances, as if time itself had stopped. Sophie, as I've said before, was undeniably beautiful and full of fiery passion. But that passion had a dark side, jealousy. I was almost certain that the mere thought of me being near Amelia would drive Sophie into a rage, shattering whatever thrill she was feeling with her latest fling, the infamous Mr. Wilson. When I dropped Amelia off at her house, she playfully dabbed some perfume on my shirt and left lipstick marks on my collar, neck, and cheek. With a mischievous smile, she kissed me goodbye. Go show them, Tiger, she teased, and we both laughed as I got back into my truck, heading home. It wasn't even 11 o'clock when I walked into what felt like the North Pole. Where have you been? Sophie spat, her voice icy. Without hesitation, I replied, It's none of your business. I looked her straight in the eyes, completely indifferent. You never bothered to tell me where you run off to with Mr. Wilson. I could ask if you used protection, but honestly, I don't care if you're rotting from the inside out. I'm never touching your disgusting, cheating body again. So, no, I don't care where you've been. I had a fantastic evening, and frankly, I should thank you for that. Her confusion was almost amusing. What do you mean by thank you? She mumbled. I shrugged. Don't you get it? If it weren't for your brilliant idea to open up our marriage, I would have never had the chance to grow closer to Amelia. And trust me, she's something else. Beautiful, incredible, absolutely stunning. So thank you, darling. Truly. That's when Sophie snapped. She screamed so loudly that for a moment I wondered if the neighbors would call the police. You know I hate her. Why would you even think of her out of all people? She was seething with rage. I just smiled. Exactly. Seems I gave you too much credit again. Can you focus for a minute? This isn't rocket science. You decided to cut me off, flaunting yourself in front of some random guy, wearing outfits you never even considered for me, and now you're surprised I reacted accordingly? You changed the dynamic of our relationship without even discussing it with me, so I played along. The only real difference between us is that I was honest about who I was seeing. But for some reason, you're too ashamed to even admit who your little companions are. You destroyed our marriage, our 30-year marriage. So my genius, what exactly is your complaint? The confidence drained from her face and Sophie began to crumble, tears streaming down her cheeks. Before she could regain her composure, I continued. Let me guess. William didn't manage to land his prize tonight, did he? She gasped quietly, quickly covering her mouth with her hands. How did you know? In my best game show host voice, I replied, You're showing a serious lack of awareness again. Try to think for once. You work in an office full of women, and William's the biggest flirt. People talk, and everyone knows who's sleeping with who. That's exactly what happened. So did you really think you were any different? For over a month now, some of your so-called friends have been feeding me details about your little affair with William. Turns out you weren't just charmed by him, you were actively pursuing him. One of your colleagues even mentioned that you literally light up when he walks into the room. Maybe he ditched someone for you. No jealousy here, just facts. Word is, tonight was supposed to be your big night. He even booked a room at the Hilton, everything set for the occasion. Your first night of luxury, and then either a cheap hotel or back to someone else. You didn't know? Her wide, shocked eyes told me everything I needed to know. She couldn't believe how naive, trusting, and careless she had been. She finally broke down, sobbing. "Oh, Liam, I'm so sorry. You're right. I'm such a fool. How can you stand being with someone as stupid as me?" "Sophie, here's the thing. I don't have to. I don't have to stay married to you or put up with your pathetic, unfaithful behavior. Tomorrow morning after breakfast, you'll be served the divorce papers. We're renting this house and there are 3 months left on the lease. You can either extend it or use that time to figure out where you're going next." "Where will you go?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Amelia invited me to stay with her while I sorted out my affairs. She had a spare room, which she used as an office. She mentioned that once I settled all the paperwork, we could consider a more permanent living arrangement. When I said I'd take care of it the next day, she offered some very enticing conditions. I couldn't wait to explore them in more detail. As for the other issues between us, we'll split everything evenly. Now you're free to see whomever you want without bothering yourself with the drama of a weak-willed husband. I hope William was worth it." To sum it up, I met a few other husbands who had also been deceived by William, who earned the nickname Mr. Wilson. One evening, after dinner, William discovered that his car had been destroyed. The windows were smashed, the body scratched, and baby diapers smeared on the seats, with the wheels stolen. As he stood there in shock, 3 masked men appeared, beat him up, and robbed him. Oddly enough, the police never quite figured out why these guys wanted his wallet and fake Rolex, especially after they had already trashed his car. There were no witnesses, and the security cameras in the parking lot were mysteriously covered in paint, so the investigation stalled. Meanwhile, 4 spouses of William's former victims had a poker night at someone's house. When William recovered, he packed his things and left town. No one knows where he went, and honestly, no one cares. Sophie left as well. She found a new place, but when she realized I was happy with Amelia, she vanished too. I never saw Sophie again. Amelia and I stayed together for a while, but we soon realized that what works in the short term doesn't always bring long-term satisfaction. Eventually, I moved into my own townhouse, closer to work. With age, wisdom, and improved physical fitness, I met a colleague at the gym. One thing led to another, and finally, I found happiness with someone who combined both intelligence and loyalty. This concludes the story. If you like it, then put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel.